Over here in my stockpile of project wood, I have some odds and ends for turning of some burls and some other things. I have a stack of hard maple blocks that are 10 quarters thick, and I also have a stack of rubber wood parts. They're 2 foot long, and they were milled to make parts of a furniture base out of them. They were rejected because they were all made the wrong size by the manufacturer. So I picked those up about 10 years ago. Okay? This material is rubber wood. Okay? Rubber wood is properly called para wood. They also call it para rubber wood. And it looks somewhat like a white oak, a riffs on white oak, except the grain is very much smaller. I've used out of this pile for years, and as you can see, I have years worth of it left. But at any rate, I'm working on a project right now that will use up a considerable bit of this, and I'll show you that project. It's one that was designed specifically for the purpose of using up this wood. I need to set this bandsaw up on the Shopsmith Mark V 520 so that it will rip boards exactly down the center. Okay? So I have a board here that has a mark exactly in the center. I'd like to do that without marking the center of every board. So I really need the saw set so that the fence is this distance from the edge and that it tracks straight as I go down and cut the center here. The bandsaw for the Shopsmith has a fence on it which is made to accommodate blades that wander. It's a really simple process. So what you do is you take another straight board, okay, and you put a straight line that is parallel to the edge you want to rip from. So this line is parallel to this edge, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down that line and get it so that it's traveling straight and true through the cut. Then I'll clamp it in place and put a mark on the table that shows where this edge of the board is here. I'll take the fence and put it on that line and make the adjustments so that it is tilted in whichever direction it needs to tilt for that blade to travel straight through. Once I get it in place, I'll take the board and push it along that line to make sure that it finishes the cut. So I'll set up and you can watch as I do that. you can see that the fence here is crooked with the tabletop. Okay, see this line right here? Let's follow it right on through, and we get over here and it has all but disappeared. You have 3 lines here, 2 lines here. It's that far out of square that this blade is cutting. Could be teeth are sharper on one side than they are on the other. Could be that the blade is running out as a result of stretching or straining on the guide wheels. It is touching against the rollers in here. It's touching those, so it's all the way back as far as it should be. The guides have the proper amount of spacing in them here. The guides are roughly parallel to the blade, front to rear, but at any rate, that's where it wants to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and set a board up in here, and I'm going to test it, and let's see how she cuts. Okay, the stock is cut. Let's see what we've got. It's going to take two, 3, 4, 5 of them. It's going to take 5 pieces to make each one of these. Maybe I can cheat on this outboard one and get 2 out of there. It can be done. I can get 2 out of the outboard one. But the rest of them, I'm just going to get 1. So, if each stack here has 5 cut in half to make 10, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I could get as many as 10 pizza peels out of this stack. Well, guess next thing is run them through the planer and see what makes it. I need to plane some thin boards. One of the things that I do that's probably just a little different from most is that those boards are right at 3/8 of an inch thick. I only want to plane as much of them off as I have to clean up this side and remove the finish from this side. So I don't like the idea of planing with the teeth just right down next to the steel table down here at the bottom of the plane. Okay? So what I've done is I've taken a piece of 3/4 inch particle board that has a laminated vinyl finish on it. It was from an old furniture factory that used to be nearby. Perfectly flat, okay? Perfectly straight. And I put a cleat across the bottom of it. Then I'll take that and I'll put it in the planer. As a new bed with a cleat on it. That cleat will stop it from being pulled through and the wood will just slide right on by. So I can adjust my stop at 1 inch so that I get it no thinner than 1/4 inch. Okay? I don't think that I'll get there, but it doesn't hurt a bit to use that as a safety. But before I start, I'm going to put wax on it and make it so that it slides really well. I'm going to choose to use J-Wax, SC Johnson's paste wax. I don't know when they quit putting J-Wax on the can. But I just knocked it off on the floor. We've got a copious quantity of it right here. So I'll take that, let me get a little more. Put that on the inside of my rag. And mush it up. Get it to come through. Okay. And you'll notice that by putting it on the inside of the rag, it puts a nice, smooth, even finish on. Okay? It doesn't leave. Normally when you put paste wax on, if you just wipe it onto the wood, you have trouble getting a nice, smooth, even coat. Using this method, I find that I can put a smooth, thin, even coat on. Okay? Use a lot less wax. Okay. And so once you get it coated, it does not take very long for it to dry. And make sure, I'm going to turn the rag wrong side out. And store it back inside this can. It'll be ready to go next time, and it'll be loaded, and I won't have to get a new rag. As you can see, it's already starting to turn dull. Same thing works on your planer bed, where I've got a buildup. Had my grandson help me do some waxing a while back, and he didn't do it the same way, and we got a buildup on here. I don't know if you can see it or not. So I've got to go through and strip all this, and then while I got this wax out, I'm going to go ahead and wax this too. But anyway, that's the way I choose plain thin boards through the planer. Huh. Okay, so we're looking at ½ inch, real close. So they're cut at varying thicknesses. I want them to end up around 3/8 of an inch. Thinnest one that I measured was in this stack right here. And I found it at 44 thousandths, or 44.44, 44 hundredths of an inch. You'll notice that as I feed these boards through, I butt them up so that the back end of the board going through touches the front end of the board that's coming at it. I do that for a couple of reasons. Of course, it maximizes the amount of feed that goes through, but also the incidence of snipe as the rollers enter and exit a board. They put pressure onto the top half, which is where the motor and the cutter head is, and that tends to move it ever so slightly. Even though this thing has 4 screws that raise and lower it, there's still just ever so slight an amount of slop. And so then the cutter head will dip and raise as it goes down the board. To get it perfectly smooth, I like to put just a seamless string of lumber entering underneath that cutter head. It's not so bad now that I've changed over from the straight cutter knives to the spiral cutter head, but it's still a little bit of an occurrence. And I found that butting the boards and sending a constant stream through is one of the very best ways to stop having snipe at either the start or the finish end of the board. Oftentimes when I'm doing that, especially with short lumber, I turn it down to a very slow feed rate so that I can catch the boards and restack them and still have time to start another board through the planer before the one within it is finished. I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. Prepping all of this material for these projects is something I did back in the spring. And then the project sat for a while because, as you know, I've been working on the nightstand as I've gone along. Finally got around to finishing it, just the other day. So we'll resume this project in the next video. I do appreciate you watching, and I really hope you have nothing less than a wonderful day.